Hi, this is me Bagwe for the Cyber Express, and today I have with me a very esteemed personality who actually doesn't need any introduction as such, Lieutenant General Dr. Pant. Sir, it's been a pleasure having you over here. First, I would like to know your experience over here in World CyberCon.
Greetings of the day to all the viewers, and thank you, Mayor. Uh, this was quite a unique event, the fourth edition of World CyberCon. First time I attended, and I found that firstly it was very well curated, both in terms of the keynotes as well as the panel discussions. Then the speakers were from the government, from the private sector, from PSUs, and then the attendees were from different sectors. So it was not only, despite being in Bombay, the financial sector or something, I found power sector and different telecom sector, etc. So and that is what cybersecurity is all about. It touches all of us. It is not sector wise. So I think it's a great event, and I really enjoyed being here.
Thank you so much, sir. So during your keynote, you specifically mentioned the seriousness that OT technology and OT security is having, especially since you mentioned, right, it was an election year. And we are seeing geopolitical tensions rise all over, and India is like literally surrounded by them. But not just that, Israel, Hezbollah, especially since we've seen the how the impact has been the explosions of transmitters and everything. So, can you just give us a gist of what are the things that are looking really serious at this point of time, and how can India actually look forward to countering them?
So we were all expecting that 2024 would be an interesting year, with elections in 55 countries. Two wars were already going on in Eastern Europe as well as in the Middle East. And there were these hotspots in the South China Sea and south of the Red Sea, the Houthi rebels, etc. But what has transpired, and we are now almost entering the 10th month, has been, I think, a little more than what we had expected. We did not expect assassination attempts on presidents and prime ministers of EU. We did not expect the attack by Israel, uh, uh, the pager attack I'm talking of. This is something the cybersecurity guy can tell you. It is as unique as what they did in Natanz in 2010 in Iran, the Stuxnet attack.
Yep.
So this is going to be talked of for a number of years, just like we discussed in Natanz attack. And of course, the disinformation and the misinformation that has taken place, the nature of some election results, including closer home, that was different from what was expected. So it's been a very interesting year. But from the cybersecurity point of view, what I said in my keynote also, that cyberspace has no borders. So what happens in the US in terms of, say, supply chain, they're banning Chinese equipment, directly affects us.
Right.
And there is this concept of safe networks coming up and trusted sources. We also started this scheme of trusted sources and trusted products in telecom, etc. So that is how it is impacting on us.
Right, right. So you very specifically mentioned the telecom sector, and we know that US has already banned Chinese products like the Huawei. Do you think we, as a nation, are looking towards that as well? Do you think we that because Chinese equipment is everywhere, especially in networking, right? So, do you think that this is a viable option for India, or there are safer guardrails that we can actually have instead of that?
You see, on 16th of December 2020, the Government of India, as Cabinet Committee on Security, approved what is called as the National Security Directive on the telecom sector, which stipulates that any equipment connected to the telecom network of India has to be a trusted product from a trusted source. What is a trusted source? It is a company which does not have links with the military of that nation. It is a company where the ultimate beneficiary is not directly linked to some government agencies. So while the US came out with a negative list, they said that Huawei is banned or put in the entities list and ZT is banned. We did not take names.
Right.
We said everybody is welcome, but whoever can come through the gate has to be a trusted source and a trusted product. So that is called a positive list.
Right.
So we came out with a positive list. And this process has been very successful for the entire 5G network which has been deployed in India. It is trusted from various points of view. There is a process behind it. There are agencies that check that particular company. And in the equipment, we go down to the level of active programmable semiconductors, the silicon. So we see where the chips are coming from, because even that firmware, you are aware, that can be this thing. And we see both the SBOM, that is the software bill of material list, as well as the hardware HBOM, and go down to these levels as where are these components coming from. So that is how we've managed to ensure that at least our telecom sector, which is a super critical sector, whereas there are other sectors which are critical, but two sectors are called super critical. They're power and telecom. Because something happens to power, then then the interview is over. And if something happens to telecom, then there is no exchange of information. You cannot exercise governance in a critical situation. So power and telecom, we are very particular. So at least in the telecom sector, we have ensured that our equipment is free from any suspicious sources.
Okay. So, as you mentioned in the keynote as well, we have as a country currently, before COVID, it was 6 critical infrastructures. We added healthcare to it. Do you think that IoT and other sectors that are coming up, even for that matter, AI and ML, artificial intelligence, it has been integrated into IoT at a pace that we have not ever imagined of. You think that these kind of sectors, the upcoming sectors, or something that you think needs to be included into the critical infrastructure, or the government should give it a thought about it?
I think we should not mix sectors with technologies.
Right.
So even though healthcare is there, healthcare, if you see the devices that are used in the surgery or something, they are all IoT devices. Robotics are there, IoT. Similarly, in the power sector, you could have IoT, industrial IoT and all that. So AI, ML again is there in all the sectors.
Right.
Because now the processes are getting more and more efficient. So as far as India is concerned, we still have those 7 sectors with whatever technology they have, including IT and OT. And they vary from nation to nation. I mean, the joke going around is that in Netherlands, their beer company Heineken, that is a critical sector. For them, it is a critical sector. But then USA has 16 sectors, Australia has 11 sectors, which they consider education is critical.
Yes.
Because supposing, say in our case, the NEET exam is going on and suddenly there's a DDoS attack, it will affect thousands and millions of students.
Right.
So, but then everything cannot be critical. If everything is critical, then nothing is critical. And I attended a seminar in Israel where the title of the seminar was, "Is anything not critical?" Because for the water has also been hacked and, everything. So, what you were saying about IoT, AI, ML, everything is important, but the sectors have to be focused on. You have to focus on some sectors.
Right. It's amazing that you mentioned about a few examples, because I was interviewing a person in Ukraine. Obviously, I can't name it right now, but a defense person in Ukraine, and he also mentioned the same thing. Right, during war, the definition of critical infrastructure changes for us. Even a courier service is a critical infrastructure for us during war. So, yeah, I get that point. And Dr. Pant, it's always a pleasure listening to you, and it was a pleasure hosting you again for the Cyber Express. I hope this was the first time that you had an experience over here, but we'll have you again and again.
Pleasure will be mine too.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.